My feeling going into the bootcamp was like, I thought that it would be really hard to compete with the Asian. But after having scrimmed against some of them, there's some hope for us to do good in the tournament.
Oh, 35%. Is it going to be enough? Only 2 heroes left, Hastadar and Leoric.
I think this time we're a lot more prepared to play what we want to play. I think in the past we've had a we've just been afraid of the Asian teams. And I think it's something that we've had to just shake off eventually and just be like, they're not that much better. They just play their own style, and now we just have to be aware of what they do, but we have to come in with our own meta, our own strengths, and I think we'll overpower them.
All our focus for the past 2 months at least has been on trying to beat these Asian teams. So I think this is quite possibly the best chance we ever had, and I think we definitely have a shot.
Dignitas might have a great chance to win a very important fight. Oh, are we gonna pop here? Yes, now we see a marsh pit protected by Sanctification. Great engagement here from Team Dignitas.
This is the 3rd time I've represented Europe on the world stage, and we've always kind of fallen short. Like the first time we came second, the second time we lost to the Asian teams. Like I want this to be the one where we come in confident, we come in strong, and we say, you know, this is the one that we just came in and we won.
Has to, they're gonna re-engage. Falling.
I feel like at BlizzCon I was really close. I got to the finals, but I just didn't really show up there. So winning here would finally be what I've always dreamed of.
The fear of the Asian teams. That is something that Dignitas was very, precise about. They fear the Asian teams. They want to overcome them, though. Does that automatically include that they are not respecting MY, that they're not even worried about beating them?
I think both of the European teams have kind of a similar mentality. I mean, I've talked to both of them, and they're all extremely confident. And I think that what they said there is that they need to not just fear what that composition that the Asian meta tends to bring in their playstyle, but they need to bring their own. And their confidence is sky high going into this. It's a matter of, is one of these teams going to improve on their confidence, and is one team going to break? Because they're facing each other first off.
I think that's not just a trend to this tournament specifically. Every single time I cast in Europe, I try to get like a little bit of feel of how the players actually feel against one another, and it always is, we're going to take this whole tournament not even close. I'm not even kidding. Like, even the teams that might not take top 4,
yeah,
they just all have an absurd amount of confidence.
And this young gentleman, JPL, he will be a focus for sure, because not only does he rock the cutest of Pikachus there, but also he had to switch roles every now and then. He's no longer the main tank in the team. That role falls to Alex the Pro-G. How much of an impact can JPL actually make?
Well, that was a big problem, in my opinion, when we watched the second regional, is I think maybe they weren't quite set up for that, but now this is a meta where we've seen a lot of double warrior, and if they have 2 warrior players who are known for their warrior play, that could make a difference, a huge difference for them.
It's kind of weird the way that the drafts have gone, in the sense that the minute Thrall, Sonya are either picked, banned out, and then kind of that frontline warrior or that frontline bruiser type role, all of a sudden now you see the teams turn to that double warrior. And I think that's a huge point that Gilly just made, is that a lot of the Western teams aren't necessarily running the double warrior comps, and I feel like this is something that could actually work for this team in particular.
I think Europe has always been very good at creating meta, better than almost every other region. I would say even far better than North America for that matter. But one thing as well is you saw Snitch making the comments about how he feels they need to have the creative approach, play their own game, not play the Asian team's game. They've done that in the past, and it's been the best success that Europe's ever had, getting second at BlizzCon. They had their own approach to the game, and it was far better than, in my opinion, every other region going into that tournament. The problem was is they only had one. And all it took was a Cloud9 Tyrael ban, and guess what? Europe had no strategy. So there needs to be a middle ground in this tournament.
For now, though, we're going to take a look at 4 Germans and 1 Bulgarian trying to hold their own against their eternal rival. That is Team Dignitas. Give it up for mYinsanity.
It's very nice when you see when someone recognizes you, or like they cheer for you, that kind of stuff, and it really makes you feel better, and then when you feel better, you also play better.
Us and Dignitas played a lot against each other, and it will be a battle of who understands the opponent more than the other one.
Yeah. This is worst case scenario. They had a lot of potential to get on this, but now they've just taken too much free damage. But Rengar, good night! He is put to sleep real quick with that 7-sided.
We are kind of a team which has on and off days. Like, we tend to be more consistent in the last few LANs. Like before that, we actually had a lot more off days, like in online qualifiers or stuff like that. We even lost to teams we shouldn't lose to, much worse teams. And if we have our good days, or if we are sure we have our consistency, we will shine. I guess we will be able to win.
All right, we've heard Nurok say that they are looking shaky when it comes to online qualifiers. However, whenever there's an offline tournament, they show up and they deliver, Jay-How.
I mean, can I just say that being around these guys this week, I mean, it's just a good group of guys. Like, they're a good group of guys. I love their creative play style. I like this team a lot and what they have going for them, as Gilly talked about, especially at Tours. The fact that they were able to dominate that entire tournament, that's got to be a huge momentum shift to bring into this tournament here.
I think that these guys are very inspiring to be around, and I like that you said that you enjoy being around them because they are inspiring, and it's a lot of it comes down to how hard they work. And I know it's kind of like we keep saying that mYinsanity is a hard-working team, but they are. They have improved so incredibly much since they have been together, and their roster has been together for quite a while. So we're kind of seeing the battle, not only a battle we've seen a lot before between mYinsanity and Team Dignitas, but the battle between a stable roster that's been together versus this kind of unknown, not knowing what to expect.
Now, Dreadnought, as a former professional support player, this is also the battle between the two most spoken of support players in Europe. The duel of Karazim, if you will. There's a face palm duel between Bakery and Splendor. How much are you looking forward to this?
I actually is really impressive. They're some of the only players that have been to every world championship. They even competed at BlizzCon. I mean, these guys are great supports, but I can definitely say without a doubt, Splendor to me is the most improved player in all of Europe. Even, I would say, more improved than all North American players as well. Not so much out of the Asian teams, but
strong enough to challenge Bakery as the #1 support in Europe.
I would definitely say so. He's put up an absurd argument for his play, not only just on the Karazim, just in general.
And we're going to find out whether Splendor and his boys will be able to hold their own against Team Dignitas, of course, in the map veto phase now. We will see that the first battleground that we are going to be seeing here today is going to be Cursed Hollow, a map that we've seen plenty of times throughout this tournament, but it is always a very explosive one, Jay-How.
It allows for very tactical positioning. It allows for good strategy. The fact that there's two bosses, it's large enough to where you can make plays happen without having to commit to these full-on team fights like we have seen quite a bit on a smaller map like Battlefield of Eternity. So I feel like a lot of teams tend to revolve around a little, I don't want to say safer map, but a little bit more strategical map to see if they can kind of outwit their opponents.
I think that map selection, it's not that it's uncommon specifically, more so that it's just not usually one that I would think that Dignitas would take to the first map. So I feel like they already have a major strategy that they're going to be looking for in this game, whether it's like an Abathur Greymane, but something a little creative compared to their normal.
Well, yeah, definitely. You have to look at that specifically for these two teams. They scrim together so much. So, and that's, I love matches where you have that because you know that the draft's going to get a little funky, especially as you get toward the later games of the series.
And it's funny that you mentioned it, Gilly, because both teams, when we talked to them before the series, they were saying, you know what, we're going to bring something special to the table. Especially mYinsanity was very vocal about this.
And now the draft's going in. Nothing too surprising for both these teams. The early kill Thost with the Murd and Greymane response again. I do think we can expect an Abathur Greymane or a fear of it. And also Europe has been very quickly adapting to the double tank approach to the game, which makes me very happy seeing that it's one of the most successful compositions here at the Summer Global Championship.
Getting kill Thost too is just so important to mYinsanity. They played him 2 out of their 4 games in the first group stage, but also they're up against Team Dignitas. They have Mene, who loves Kael'thas. He loves all of his mages, but especially Kael'thas.
Definitely. And Darkmog, on the other hand, for mYinsanity, he is a very aggressive, a very, going in melee assassin player, especially Thrall.
Yeah, he's great on his Thrall. On Cursed Hollow specifically, he has very good flanks where he'll abuse the Fog of War and then get a great sundering onto the back line to where there's just no escape for his opponents here. But with Murden already going to be picked up early in this draft, is mYinsanity going to worry about the ETC? Instead, they do opt to go with the Zagara, which is not common for this tournament, but very standard when you look at mYinsanity. Thrall, Zagara on Cursed Hollow, that is...
And just...
mYinsanity 101.
Just think back to Tours France, the second European regional, where
four-man mob.
Hazu Ops just dominated every team on Zagara.
Yeah, the 4-man maw that he hit over a shrine on the bottom half of the map was very impressive.
I think Zagar is actually one of their most played heroes on Cursed Hollow, so that's not a surprise, as Dred just talked about. Another hero that they have tend to run is a Lunara from time to time on this map as well. That was one of the more surprising things, but they're not afraid to run Lunara, whereas I think they're one of the only teams I think that's run it all week.
Yeah, they absolutely adore the hero. And one thing I do want to point out as well is I really like the fact that at least in this series, we see mYinsanity kind of sticking to their guns. They had such great success when it came to Tour that I feel like I don't think they need to make the adjustments. Maybe against some of the other teams like Tempest, if they manage to face them at some point, they will need to be doing that. But for now, I like that they are sticking to their comfort.
Yeah, they stuck to their comfort in the last time they played Team Dignitas, and they were able to beat them.
Yeah.
So they were able to beat anybody from EU. They didn't drop a single game. So it makes perfect sense not to give anything away here. Just play to your standard. Maybe if it doesn't go well in this game 1, we'll see the switch up. But for now, with game number 1, it makes a lot of sense.
And the Nubarak being hovered is the ban from mYinsanity.
Interesting.
That is an interesting choice. It's been a very common ban as the second ban team, or in the second ban phase for a lot of these. He is one of the best double tanks. He doesn't excel so much on this as we see it commonly like in Infernal Shrines, but he is still just a great hero overall when paired in a double tank composition.
Definitely brings a lot of engage to the table. He's also not that easy to kill anymore, thanks to the recent updates and changes to his kit. Is there anything that you expect from Dignitas to come out here? They have been known to run Chen a lot, but are we going to see anything like that? Or do you think that Alex DeBrochi actually adjusted his hero pool?
I think we can expect either a double tank or, like I said, kind of the Abathur Greymane. Even if they decided to do a Chen here, Abathur is not off the table. I do think there will be an innovative approach to it, but Chen he's a possibility. He's very hard to deal with, especially with the squishy backline that mYinsanity has.
I almost feel that Zeratul might be on the table here.
Yeah,
for
that
Team
is a good
Dignitas,
point.
like big time. I mean, you're looking at Zagara and Kel'Thas on the backline. They've run Zeratul on this map before, and of course we've stressed how much this map it allows for Zeratul to kind of work around the terrain to be able to get through and make plays to dive in and dive out or blink in and blink out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that as possibly a last pick here for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, he has a lot of boss control as well, which is one of the most important factors to have in a composition is having great skirmishing, but then again the boss control, because that's typically the win condition on Cursed Hollow, unlike some of the other maps. Instead, we do see a Stitches being hovered here for Dig. They do they play him a lot.
Yeah, they used to play him as a solo warrior as well. JPL was very known for that. How is that gonna fare into the new lineup here, though?
I'm still sticking with my Zeratul. Hook somebody in, VP the rest. Tag team?
They could. It is an option. I don't like it nearly as much looking into the Zagara. Now that they have the double melee and a Greymane, I'd like to see a more concentrated backline, or at least somebody who can get some kind of harass.
Li Ming, perhaps?
Li Ming is an option as well.
Yeah, I thought they would maybe get Johanna. Of course, Blummy known for playing a lot of Johanna and kind of being forced into it in a way. Of course, there are a lot of warriors that we've been seeing. We've been seeing Arthas too, but for a solo warrior specifically, especially since she can add to the wave clear of the team too, since they'll be wanting to make sure to keep those lanes pushed, I think we'll probably see them locking in this Janna, and then we'll get to see what Team Dignitas wants to add to this. Wants to maybe even add somebody who can follow up with the hooks. Of course, that is something that you generally want, and they have Stormbolts from Murden.
And Splendor for mYinsanity here, he basically dropped the gauntlet and says, you know what, I'm going to play that Karazim Bakery and I'm going to challenge you.
I mean, that has been their strategy. They have never been afraid of the support choke just because they are so confident into the Karazim with Splendor. And I mean, with how well he plays that, I think I'd have the same confidence they do.
Okay.
And then Li Ming's going to be going over for Mene.
So yeah, Mene can play Greymane. He's been on it before, but then they also can, I think, put Snitch on it. So I wondered if we were going to see Mene play Li Ming since she was still on the board. And so that will be a little more damage to get behind this beefy backline for Team Dignitas.
I really want to make sure that JPL is on the Stitches. In my opinion, he has the most impressive Stitches in all of Europe. If they do decide to put Alex on it, I feel like it won't be nearly as convincing. But outside of that, I feel like both teams pretty much got exactly what they wanted, and I feel like with how much they scrim each other, they have to be very confident in what they were able to draft. But it's a very, we got what you want, you got what you want, we're just going to battle. Yeah. That's their approach.
One of the things you and I talk about, and you bring up specifically quite a bit, is the amount of wave clear, especially on certain maps. Do you worry that Team Dignitas is going to struggle a little bit with that composition because right now, I mean, you've got Thrall, Zagara, Kel'Thas on one side, not a lot on the other.
Sorry to interfere here, guys, but I just got word that both teams are ready. So why don't you share some predictions with that, JL?
I'm loving what mYinsanity is bringing to the table the last month, and especially with this draft, I'm going with them.
All right, Dr. Dret.
I am going to stick to the more meta picks are going to win this game, and I'm going with Dignitas.
And Gilly.
I'm going to go with mYinsanity. I think just the past presents itself, and I think we're going to see them win it again.
I'm also going with mYinsanity here because I really put a lot of confidence into HOTS' Moz. Very fearful sight to behold as well. And for now, we're going to throw it over to our two lovely casters, Kalaris and Calder, who spent the entire night working on their art skills.
It is mYinsanity versus Dignitas. It is Germany versus Britain. And thank you very much, Kendrick, but I have to admit that with art skills, I can't draw at all. So like James took over for that, and boy, are we hyped for this series.
Oh, yes, we are. It wouldn't be Europe without Stitches here, as they do bring that to the table. Let's get into game number one. As we have to the left-hand side, it will be Team Dignitas with Alex playing Muradin, Bakery on Rehgar, Mene playing Li Ming, Snitch on Greymane, and JPL on Stitches.
And to the right side of the map, that German team with the Bulgarian support, we have Blumby on Johanna, Dartmok on Thrall, Hazorps playing the Zagara, Splendor on Charism, of course, and Norok is on Kel'Thas.
And knowing these two teams pretty well, I almost feel that the Stitches is kind of even a denial as well against mYinsanity. They have in the past ran the Charism with Stitches as well for Hook 7-sided strike to even come in. Of course, though, overall, they are a little bit squishy on that side, so they could have gone Palm anyway.
It's the Dreadnought tilt pick right here.
Yes, oh yeah.
Dreadnought already tilted before the series even started. He's a huge favorite, of course, of Stitches, but guys, this is going to be amazing. Also, before we're going really into the game, I want to give a quick shout out to Blumby because it was his birthday yesterday, so it's a very important weekend for him. And if you want to show him some love, then jump over to Twitter at BlumbyHots and definitely make sure to give him a shout out here. These guys today, of course, have an amazing group, and this is the match that we've all been waiting for, James.
Yeah, this is going to be really cool. Obviously, me and you, we've chosen our sides quite clearly very, very early on. But the thing is that even, I think both of us have watched a lot of scrims of these guys, and I still can't predict who's actually going to win this.
I have absolutely no idea. I was talking to the teams, and both of them are very confident, but at the same time, they basically said whoever is going to perform on the day is going to win it. And this match has been kind of called the European Kingmaker game.
Yeah, I would agree. Looking at this, I mean, there's even the potential that they face each other again later on. Yes. So when they go into this, it's like, how much do you show in the draft? How much do you really bring to the table? Because these two teams both do have wild picks that we could see throughout the day.
Oh yeah, they definitely do. And you always have to keep in mind that there is also a Korean team in the same group. I mean, this group is stacked, so they have to be extremely careful. So far here on Curse Total, everything kind of standard. We're always seeing kind of a little bit of poke here, and especially with that Kel'Thas, they're attempting to see if they can get a pick through the gravity lapse. But right now, both of the teams just very, very cautious.
And no surprise by the current layout of Dignitas' roster with Alex running the Muradin, Stitches being played by JPL. Dreadnought said it very well. Jay is one of the best Stitches when it comes to landing those hooks. He almost never misses them. And as such, Alex on the other side, he actually doesn't like playing Muradin that much, but he's still very good at it.
I have to say that in my personal opinion, Jay is just one of the best players that we have in Europe, hands down. And one of the things that was talked about already by the desk is, of course, that Dignitas, they had a very new lineup in Tour where they struggled, but right now they are so much more confident in this lineup. And the both of us have been watching a lot of scrims of these guys, and Dignitas improved a lot since then.
Yeah, in the first week or so, or after Tour, we saw mYinsanity taking a lot of the results off of Dignitas in those scrims. But since then, it has changed a little bit. Dignitas were able to take far more wins off of them when it comes to that kind of thing. So as this game is progressing on, though, slow start, similar timing on the camps, as you can see, because these guys are so well versed against one another.
Yes, the builds are also very, very standard here right now. mYinsanity, of course, they have a reputation, they have also a very deep hero pool. They're very strong when it comes to versatility in general. And at this point, both of the teams, or at least in this case, go heading straight to the top. Keep in mind that we have already a siege camp taken for mYinsanity. The tribute spawn up at the top lane is favoring them here.
Also important to note, during all of that draft, Bakery's far more confident in his Karazim right now, in his Rehgar right now than he is in his Karazim, so that was given up pretty early on. Bakery getting the full channel on that, and that was quite quick there for Dignitas, actually.
Yeah, with the double warrior lineup, they were able to just peel for the channel, and in the meantime, the bot lane has been dominated by Hazo, and his Zagara is something that we really have to watch out for. They love to play Zagara on this map, and Hazops is extremely good to get value out of.
Yeah. Best Zagara Europe.
Yeah, hands down. I mean, this guy is absolutely fantastic. The mores that we've seen on his part are absolutely out of this world. And this is something to watch out for once we are going into the mid, into the late game, where we're going to see those tribute fights in the 5 versus 5 situation.
Normally, Snitch would try and have something to say about that, but as much as I am on the Dignitas camp, I would still say HOTS is best Zagara Europe, so that's fine.
German efficiency coming through.
Exactly, German efficiency, my friend. Zagara's all about that, with her creep and getting it all going. So now, Tribute up towards the top once again, and unfortunately there aren't any camps being timed out with this. And we'll try and contest this as quickly as possible.
You know, you actually made a very good point here right now. The creep spread of Hazops in particular is, of course, also going to be very important here. And Dignitas, their job is, of course, to limit that as much as they can. For now, though, Tribute number 2 up at the top. And this time, Dignitas, they're starting to move in. The hook already missed. Look at Blumby. He's low, has to pop the Iron Skin. But they're still zoning, and Stitches is split from the rest of the team.
That was a good combo as well, actually. Being able to lock him down. Will he get away? Just barely. Oh, the chain lightning. That is first blood going over towards mYinsanity. Mene was chunking down towards the bottom, but I think they've got to give this up.
Really well done here, but they're trying to go again for Blumby. He pops the Iron Skin again. The channel is through, though. mYinsanity tying things up in tributes and can now move back. First blood also secured for the team here. And Dignitas immediately jumping back onto the lanes to soak experience.
That was super important that mYinsanity got that one, because now we're guaranteed the tribute to spawn way down to the bottom, so they can potentially start controlling that with the fact that Zagara was down there, spreading creep all the while.
And one interesting thing that we have definitely to talk about is that we have on the side of Dignitas already Wizened Duel is taken for Snitch's Greymane. It's a talent that we've seen from the Chinese team. Usually it's being played when you are having a very tough front line, sometimes even with 4 melee heroes on your side. In this case now with Stitches, with Muradin, Greymane feels safe enough to go for the stacking talent, but right now Snitch is in trouble at the bot lane. He could die, and he does as Noro goes in for the kill.
Yeah, that's really good, that. Especially getting that well. If they do kill that well off, they should go and actually get that, because again, Tribute should spawn down towards the bottom. You want to give Dig as little as possible to try and deal with that. That's some really good dashes away by Splendor. Is he going to get away? No.
But he bought a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you know, you were talking well, and they moved back, and Formone was also looking at it. It was just like, why didn't they kill it? And the reason is that they actually were missing the heroes in the mid lane. They didn't really know where they were. They were afraid to getting ganked. Then they saw that Splendor was the target, and they had the time to just go in and snipe the well after all.
Yeah, so that's really, really good for them now with this Tribute spawning towards the bottom. As we mentioned, mYinsanity starting this game off very rapidly with a good setup. They're going to get themselves level 10. There's no way Dignitas can go in against that Trib, and as such, they're just soaking elsewhere.
Now at this point, of course, we have Calamity taken as a level 7 talent on Mene, and I also want to highlight the Iron Forge momentum for Muradin. Oftentimes we see him with a piercing bolt here. In this case now, it's all about the cooldown reduction that they're currently trying. And already, Johanna waiting with a level 10 here. The earlier heroic for mYinsanity.
Yeah, could be a bit of falling sword if they really wanted to. It's a bit ambitious, I would say, in this comp compared to other things, but...
I completely agree with you, especially if you think about it. In this situation, if you get that more and then you get a shield out of this afterwards, you can get those stuns in. With the Sundering also as an additional option, it feels like a very good control spell for those fights. But he keeps the opponent guessing for now.
Yeah, just leave them in the dark for a little bit. It kind of puts Li Ming more so than anybody else in a bit more of an uncomfortable position while this next tribute is waiting to come up. So Dignitas has got to be very, very wary about this, because at the moment it is 1 for 2. They have to contest the next tribute point.
mYinsanity with a lot of confidence going into this match. They're slightly had an experience, but both of the teams, as James pointed out, are waiting for the tribute to spawn. But already the attack at the bot lane, again with the Siege Giants that were taken, they're attempting to get some extra pressure in. And with the ammunition drained on the fort, this is gonna fall.
This is perfect for mYinsanity as well. They are right next to the tribute at the moment. They've crippled some of the defensive structures that Dignitas could fall back to if they tried to try and contest this for a long time. So a hook is really important here for Dignitas.
Yeah, but it's on cooldown right now. Jay already used it, didn't hit anything. A great Phoenix for zoning, and the team is split. That's the problem, that's the big problem. Stitches is all alone. Pop this, ult, there's the more, isolating them once again. Blumby zoning for the team at the front.
Mene's disintegration beam was really, really important to actually slow that down for a little bit. That ancestral heal actually hits off onto one person. Snitch going far in. Double Vun Sphere, Gravity Lapse on towards Snitch, and he will end up going down to start things off.
What a great kill here. Splendor palming himself, needs to move away though. It did not get triggered, but to get the triple kill, Li Ming is dead too. And mYinsanity, they have tribute control and they go for boss. The 5 versus 2 situation in the game. They can channel both. It's going to be an amazing spot for them to be in.
Yeah, this is so perfect for them. Really good. They're just, it's such good decision making as well. They get the 3 kills. There was no hesitation to go on to boss. This is why this tribute spot with that fort being dead and right next to the boss was absolutely perfect for mYinsanity.
mYinsanity has talked a lot about how they shot call. They don't have that dedicated shot caller. Splendor does most of the calls, but it's more of a team effort that they play in. And they say the approach is actually something that takes a lot more time to be effective. But once you reach that level of blind understanding what's going on in these fights and you trust each other to that extent, it is going to give you an edge. And that is exactly what we're seeing here right now. They're moving in and they're trying to break through the wall, Calaris.
Yeah, they're going to do a lot of damage here. So far, the double warrior and hooks haven't really paid off at all for Dignitas. They need to make something happen very, very soon. But also, they're in the potential of losing this keep. And if they lost 1 or 2 members during this, they could actually lose the game right here. So they've got to be super careful.
We are 9 minutes in and it's a 2-level lead and we have that level 13 talent. Dignitas, they played safe, they played sound, they go in with a lot of patience, they make sure that the keep is going to fall and then they rotate away into the middle, up to the top where they have 2 more forts that they can eliminate.
I mean, speaking of patient, mYinsanity, geez, that boss is almost full health as that keep was dying. They can push the issue, but it's difficult against the Li Ming.
Yeah, I really think the big trigger point was that it was a pre-11-minute boss, and of course we know that 11 minutes and 21 minutes the bosses make huge jump in scaling, but right now I feel they were just like a bit afraid that it was too weak, and if you die on core, you throw your advantage away. I like the trap at the top, though.
You know, the funny thing is I felt that they could probably squeeze the boss in there and not get away with it, but they were paying Dignitas a lot of respect by not doing that, assuming that the rotation was going to be fast. And now this is a little bit late, a bit more hesitant, because they were giving them so much respect.
I still like the approach, though. Playing it a little bit more slow, looking what happens here. They're playing around the vision quite a lot, and they're waiting what the opponent is trying to do. They see an isolated hero at the top, and that triggers the decision. So they go for it after all. They have the opportunity to back off, but now finally 13 for Dignitas, but it's simply too late to contest the boss. And with this, we're having another big push happening up at the top lane.
Yeah, Alex going in quite far there. Gravity Lapse will catch him to start things off, but that was brought out very, very quickly here. Jay going to tank some up towards the front and just move back for now, spreading a bomb. Needs to not do that.
Yeah, healing static also taking a Meridian. Here comes that jump, trying to get away. Dartmok was chasing for a second, but joins up with the rest of the team to go in once again. And keep in mind, we've been talking Wizard Duelist a couple of times, but with the death that we already saw on Snitch, he doesn't have a single stack right now. No extra damage for him.
No, not at all. And Alex will have to jump out again here, just trying to get as much damage as possible on towards this golem because it is strong. Very, very difficult for them to bring down in this situation. Thankfully, the poke is going to be enough. Li Ming is getting good value out of that.
Dignitas has a push in the mid lane thanks to the hard cam, the night cam that he took a bit earlier, but up to the top lane. That's where Meridian already falls, and we have a 5 versus 4. Dignitas in full retreat. Their keep is down. That's the second keep of the game already.
And that hook actually brought Thrall against the tower. If it hadn't have hit the tower, if it had have just been a little bit off to the right-hand side, they could have potentially got a pick off there, which is very much so needed right now, considering they're 3 levels down, Kaldor.
Yeah, the problem with this, of course, is always that Splendor is just known for his fantastic palms that he has, and he has been trying the entire game already. He didn't really have the need to land one. Now level 16, you were just talking about the level lead that they have here, Calaris, and it is fantastic for mYinsanity. Dignitas, what do they have to do now? They have to play really patient, don't they?
Yeah, 2 keeps down. They somehow need to equalize out those lanes, which means that they're gonna, well, they want to soak anyway, so they're sort of equalizing them out for a little while, but that always becomes a problem when a prolonged tribute fight comes along. Or say, for example, the bosses spawn once again. Because if one of those bosses gets taken now by mYinsanity, they're almost dead.
The brutal thing for Dignitas at this point is that, first of all, they opened up 2 win conditions, top lane, bot lane, since there's no keep. And if you look at the structures that we still see for the German team, they have forts up on every single lane. They could suffer a curse, no problem, on the way through it. They could even allow Dignitas to get bosses right now, and they would still not be pressured at the keep itself. So they are in a fantastic position in this first map.
Got to agree, this is almost done for Dignitas. They need to, they have to find that 5% somewhere, but it is going to be difficult. That 5% does lie in Stitches. He is the machine that can bring that back in their favor, but it's going to be difficult, especially when that kind of wave is hitting them. Once again, the beam here from Mene really not doing too much, just trying to chip away at this huge front line.
Dignitas needs the team wipe. This is the only thing that can really bring him back here, because this looks more and more like it's a bit of a checkmate position against Dignitas. Another tribute on the map, and with the talent advantage that mYinsanity has, Dignitas has to give this one up. They can't go in for it. HOTS, of course, is also doing a fantastic job right now with all the freedom that he has in the middle of the map to get the creep spread going.
Yes.
So even if Dignitas is able to push out, they have to be super careful.
Yeah, everywhere there's just creep, creep, creep. Very difficult for them really to clean up, actually, now that I look at it. It's going to have to be like Rehgar with Lightning Shield popping every so often. Muradin's going to have to do some slams somewhere. But then all of this slows them down. Even just cleaning up vision slows them down to getting to where they want to be.
You're totally right about it. Also, by the way, a big talent synergy that we have to push out right now is that we have Tempest Fury on 16 with Giant Killer. And that means that against a hit point heavy front line with Stitches and Muradin of Team Dignitas, Giant Killer gets applied 3 times by Thrall. That is huge for Darkmog to push the damage out.
And look at this, positioning for the boss very aggressively. Dignitas feels they have to do this. This isn't some kind of like, oh, well, we'll just do it haphazardly. They feel so pressured that they have to start this boss, but of course, Fishing Hook is now in play, Kaldor.
And this is another curse tribute. This could curse Dignitas again. Here comes that hook. Iron Skin pop. Lumbi moves back. The rest of mYinsanity moving in. HOTS is on the tribute. He wants it. Alex jumps in. He goes deep for it. And here comes the palm. Triggered quite nicely, but mYinsanity is on retreat.
Yeah, Li Ming died off very, very quickly there. Nurok actually missed his gravity lapse, but it wasn't enough for all this. More is going to be able to kill off quite a few of them as well. Very, very well executed. Alex tries to jump away, and he should actually be chased down quite quickly there. He's healing himself just a little bit thanks to the fact that he does have Stoneform available, but he's going to end up going down along with Stitches there, and that is going to be Greymane and Stitches dying off, and that's 3 down.
A triple kill against them, and they're not done yet. They go for Alex. The curse is there. This is the quad kill. mYinsanity is on their way to victory in game number 1. Bakery, the only surviving hero on the side of Dignitas, and mYinsanity, they go for a core. The curse is there, pushing even harder, and mYinsanity is about to end game number 1.
They just squashed them. They actually just squashed them in this game. Very, very little that Dignitas had in terms of traction. They only got themselves 1 kill. Stitches didn't work out. Surprise, surprise here in Europe. And that is going to be GG. mYinsanity take game number 1.
What an impressive performance here in the first game. Whatever I expected, it wasn't this. mYinsanity, a flawless game there. Great fighting on their part. All of the tribute fights ending in their favor. And they made perfect choices. You were talking about how they jumped onto the boss after the fight was won without any hesitation whatsoever. And with the death timers being this low, that was incredibly important.
Yeah, very cool stuff, very cool stuff. And even, it's all the knock-on effects, right? You know, I mentioned that getting that well down to the bottom helps them with tributes. Getting that fort down to the bottom as well helps them with that tribute fight so that Dignitas doesn't have a position to retreat to. So really flawless execution by mYinsanity.
Absolutely fantastic first game, but of course we have at least one more map in this series. And before we're going to jump into game number 2, we're going to hear from the panel what our analysts have to say about the first map.